Everything is gone as I have foreseen. What's happening, YouTube? My name is Immortal Coil, and today we are talking Star Wars, Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. D23. We are given trailer number 2 for Star Wars, Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Now, right off the bat, I think it's kind of weird that Disney would roll out Star Wars stuff at D23. I find it unfair to the people who paid to get into Star Wars Celebration that they would wait to put out an announcement about Obi-Wan and the Mandalorian and this new Star Wars trailer. Now, ostensibly, it's because they're trying to build on the hype surrounding the release of Episode 9 in December, and this is going to be the last official vehicle through which to do so. But we all know the real reason why. That being said, let's tear into this beast. So right off the bat, the music is very loud and very intense, and it's supposed to elicit feelings of nostalgia. Indeed. My initial reaction to the front part of the trailer is, I've seen this. I remember that. That movie was pretty good. And then we were given the same voiceover, or a chunk of it, that we were given in the first trailer.
1,000 generations live in you now.
Which I also broke down for you guys. The link will be in the description below. But, assuming that everybody has seen this trailer and is simply trying to catch my way in on it, there is a very crucial little sliver of the Phantom Menace that you guys should pay attention to. And this is when Darth Maul lights up his double-bladed lightsaber. That's a seed they're trying to plant in your head. And this is under the guise of, Darth Maul's fucking awesome. So when we get to that point in the trailer, that awesome feeling should theoretically transfer, right? Let's find out. Then we see scenes of Vader and Palpatine. Again, this is going to be important for later on, because again, this is another seed that they're planting. But then you notice that they show the
First Galactic Empire.
And then they show Kylo Ren's mask so that they want you to associate the two, right? Now, according to the things that I've read, the reason they call it the First Order is because that was Palpatine's first order should the Empire fall, is to retreat to the unknown regions, regroup, and then come back and take over whatever is left of the New Republic, right? So this is the point where Disney's trying to work in their product. And now that you feel all warm and gushy that you've seen scenes from all the prior episodes, you know, so here's Rey and here's Force Sexy FaceTime. Now I actually want to reflect on that because there have been some rumors going around that perhaps this Reylo thing is a parallel between what happened to Leia and Luke in Episode 5, and perhaps that they're actually related. If that's the case, and we find out that Rey's family name is Skywalker, interesting. Darth Christmas. So now we're on not Tatooine. Effin' Radio, the mighty Chewbacca, Mary Sue, 3PO, and Po' Boy are seen walking to the edge of a cliff of a city of primitives who worship the Hershey Kiss god. And then we have that scene of our princess in some kind of arboretum. Personally, I hope she said fuck you and went to some tropical island with more syllables than I can pronounce. The story of generation. Complete with the swelling music that's supposed to announce the finality of this final installment of the Skywalker saga. Now for me, I was pretty content with the shape of Star Wars prior to the sell of the franchise to Disney. especially when things like the Clone Wars TV show really helped flesh out some of the parts of the prequels that didn't quite sit well with the casual movie-going audience. And I believe, actually, that what would become Rebels was in development at the time of sale, and then Filoni found himself in a position where he had to tweak it and Disneyfy it, which you can very much tell by the artwork of Kanan and Ezra. They're very Disney stylized, and as far as the animation style goes. And there were a couple of things that Disney is trying to say with Rebels that true Star Wars fans can tell the difference, but it wasn't quite as heinous as some of the other stuff that we were given. I would say Rogue One gets a pass because we got some great Vader content, but you could slowly seeing the narrative getting shifted into this girl power and, hey, let's retcon everything and reboot everything. Now, as has been said in my Obi-Wan video, link will be in the description below, the prevalent theory going around is that when Lucas signed over the rights to Star Wars to Disney, there was a caveat that says that if you use any of my old shit, I get a cut of it. So Disney's like, okay, that sounds fair, but no problem. We'll end up killing off these characters and introduce characters of our own, and because it has the Star Wars Nike swoosh on it, people are going to just go out and turn their wallets upside down and dump it on cash registers everywhere and in movie theaters everywhere. Only they forgot one thing: how to create compelling characters. Let's take a further look at this trailer. Now, apparently on Boxing Day, that's where we start to see some of the content from Episode 9. So we see a whole shit ton of resistance craft busting out of hyperspace to what appears to be a First Order blockade composed of capital ships. Now they're either on a stormy planet because there's lightning flashing all around, or they're in that weird hyperspace place that Soilo Redenbacher was flying through in the Kessel Run. And it's more likely that they're on a planet because it looks like the same kind of lightning is flashing behind Kylo Ben as he walks away from his TIE fighter with his saber ignited for some reason. But we also see that FN Radio has a new little friend. I wonder how Rose Tico feels about that. Comes to an end. And here's one of the more freaky kind of images. C-3PO sitting in some sort of evil lair with red eyes. What the fuck is that all about? Well, I asked the reigning authority on C-3PO, Drunk 3PO, what he thought this was about, and he said, well, he's drunk. And I thought, okay, well, that's fair enough. I'd probably have to be loaded if I was participating in this movie as well. But let's take a look back to that supposedly leaked poster from earlier this year, where we saw C-3PO running around with a blaster of some kind. Now, the rumor goes that C-3PO somehow has had his memory restored, so he unwiped the memory wipe that was given to him by Bail Organa. So if that theory is correct, 3PO now remembers everything since Anakin was, performing neat tricks on Tatooine. Which also, I guess if we want to scratch our beards about this, does he remember everything that led up to him being deposited into Watto's junk heap to begin with? Now, also, a part of this rumor would be a memory of his time as being part of a battle droid and perhaps being able to access that programming and perform some fighting capabilities. But if you want to get a little more literal, J.J. Abrams is obsessed with the color red, and his company is called Bad Robot, which is a red robot. So think about it. It's literal symbolism, and because he's writing the story, he gets to do whatever the fuck he wants. So 3PO's red again. So then I don't know if this is supposed to be 3PO pushing the red button, but then we see like a planet carving beam being shot from high orbit, I would imagine. And then we finally get to see something that was, up until now, completely unnecessary for Rey. With her reconstructed lightsaber, which once belonged to Anakin and once belonged to Luke, but since it got torn in half and put back together, I guess we can say it's Rey's now. She is actually, and I'm going to assume this is the Forest Moon of Endor, because we had that whole like piece of the crashed Death Star from the first trailer. She's out there practicing Darth Vader's old trick of flipping around a lightsaber and using the Force to boomerang it back to her hand. We've seen Vader do this first time in Return of the Jedi, but then we see him do it all the time in video games and comic books and what have you. The point being is that finally Rey is training. Finally she's practicing. Finally she's trying to hone some sort of skill. And then again, as we cut back to Kylo Ben walking away from his TIE fighter, we hear the unmistakable voice of Palpatine.
Your journey nears its end.
So, we can tell at least that in this iteration of the story, the big blue flash that we saw once Palpatine's body destroyed was most likely a dark force ghost, or him composing his energy into something that's purely of the dark side that can be, if we follow the EU series of logic, transferred to another vessel. Now, perhaps that's what's up with Rey when she ignites this switchblade double folding lightsaber that, if you look at it, the two ends of the lightsaber blades have the same sort of characteristic as Kylo Ben's. So did she take the crystal and, or did she find another crystal and corrupt it? I think that that's what she could do, and perhaps this voice thing is the Sith's classic, I'm going to get in your head and mess with you, and you're going to hear my voice, and I'm going to show you what could be if you follow the path of the dark side. Now, there's a lot of speculation that perhaps Rey was the vessel that Palpatine was attempting to possess. But then we hear this thing about Matt Doctor Who Smith playing the role of a young Palpatine. So that can be one of two things. Jar Jar Abrams is very fond of flashbacks, so perhaps we could see some sort of like Darth Plagueis, young Palpatine interaction. Or, again, if we follow the EU line of logic, maybe this is a young clone, and he's attempting to place his essence into his younger clone self. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now, this isn't actually the first time that we've seen a folding switchblade, double-bladed lightsaber. If you're really astute and you watch the Rebels show, you know that the Jedi Temple Guard, who went on to become the Grand Inquisitor, had a folding switchblade, double-bladed lightsaber, but it was yellow in color. So there's a precedent for that. And again, it fits in with the rumors that they're trying to include more of the lore that was established in Rebels. And just before we see that lightsaber, we see Rey and Kylo Ren fighting on what I assume to be a piece of the Death Star 2 that's sticking out above the waves. But if you really look at it, this is a clear callback to Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan and Vader were fighting on the liquid lava of Mustafar. So instead of lava, we have seawater, right? Red and blue, very common Star Wars kind of rhyming scheme attempting to go on here. Now, the last little piece of this trailer that I found interesting was when it said December 20th, and right below it, it says, "This film has not yet been rated." Now, there's no way that Disney is ever going to make an R-rated Star Wars movie, and I don't even think George Lucas would have. But Revenge of the Sith was PG-13, and I could see perhaps if they want to go that route with this one, maybe it could be a little more extreme, a little more gritty than the other stuff that we were shown. But the real question here, will it be enough? When The Force Awakens came out, there were a number of fans who, right from the beginning, did not like it. Matter of fact, World Class Bullshitters, one of the founding members of the Phantom Menace, was among them. And his faith was shaken, and even when his friends were saying, yeah, this is a pretty good movie, I don't get why you like it, he was one of the first people to say, it's just not Star Wars. Now this is funny, because when the prequels came out, there were a lot of people who were upset with it. And they're like, I don't like the story, I don't like this character being whiny, I don't like that character, but nobody ever disavowed it as not being Star Wars, right? The prequels weren't bastard films, they just weren't films that were very well received by Star Wars fans. But at no point do I recall it creating this sort of division. And I liked the prequels. I saw them all in the theaters close to opening night in 3D and all that fucking shit. And yeah, you can say whatever you want about Jar Jar or midi-chlorians, but there were some really good storylines and social commentary, like true social commentary. Not the fake, I wish the world would be this way, but actual deep things that if you do your research, and you might have to put on a tinfoil hat at some point, can really dig into. There's a lot of subtlety there. But moreover, George Lucas has a particular visual style. And whereas in the classic trilogy, he was limited by the state of technology with what he could do, he managed to work that into a story. He managed to make it a used universe where things have been broken down and kind of gritty and they're not as pristine as they used to be. And then, of course, 20 years pass, and then suddenly he has all these like digital things that he can play with. And he got better at doing it by the time of Revenge of the Sith. But a lot of people were like, well, this looks like a video game or a computer cartoon or something. It actually holds up pretty well, I think. But the crucial element, the storytelling, was there. That's George Lucas, that's his baby, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Contrast that with Disney. Now, I believe the original plan was that they were going to have 3 little stories and 3 different directors. JJ, you go in there, you set everything up, because you're good at that. Here's Lawrence Kasdan, you guys just go and remake episode 4 for us, okay? We're going to have a new Luke, we're going to have a new Han Solo, we're going to kind of combine Luke and Leia, we're going to have a new Darth Vader, we're going to have a new Palpatine, and it's like a cyclical time sort of thing, but yeah, just set it up and make sure that the Millennium Falcon's in there, and somebody says I have a bad feeling about this. And JJ's like, cool, I can do that. And then I really think that the only thing that Rian Johnson was given as a direction was that we need Luke to die somehow. And he goes, okay, I can do that. It's pretty obvious that the social justice angle was very important to the creative group at Disney Lucasfilm, who, for better or worse, are made up mostly of women who believe that they are oppressed by society. Now, it's one thing to speak of social equality, which is that we have equal opportunity and our choices and our fate are up to us, but to believe that your only recourse is to humiliate or put into a subservient position those who you believe your oppressors to be, and then commit millions of dollars to it and try to force feed it down your audience's suckhole, and then furthermore cry about it when they say, I don't like the taste of this. That's where you fucked up, Disney. That's where you fucked up. That's what pissed off so many more people, and that's the genesis of this sort of backlash that you're getting. So, what did you do? You ran back to Jar Jar Abrams and said, "Our toy is broke, fix it." And I'm sure he said, "Well, first I'm going to need a fuck ton of money. And then you need to take this kid and put him somewhere else. I don't even want to hear a squeak out of him." And then it's his job to try to pull this all together. Am I curious about it? Yeah. Am I optimistic about it? No. Do I even want to see it? Had I not been running a YouTube channel, I would have said at some point. I probably would have waited for it to come out on Redbox or something. But I'm going to have to go and see it. And say about it what you will. My buddy Drunk 3PO, he got crap for going to Galaxy's Edge when he was the one covering all that Galaxy's Edge stuff. But I asked the question, how can you be a journalist worth your salt if you don't do your research and check out all the sources, especially the main source? And that's my big beef with a lot of YouTubers these days. They want to go on these flying tirades and cry because they know that drama can sell a channel to an extent, but they're unwilling to look through the eyes of those who they wish to accuse. So we're not going to do that here. I'm going to go see this fucking movie. I'm going to come back and give you my honest opinion, and for good or ill, it is what it is. But I can tell you this right now, my main appetite is not for this sequel trilogy. I don't like any of the characters. I don't like how they treated the original characters. For me, it's headcanon. It's very simple. It's the Phantom Menace. It's the Clone Wars. It's a Clone Wars TV series. It's the Revenge of the Sith. It's Star Wars Rebels. It's Rogue One. It's A New Hope. It's The Empire Strikes Back. And it's Return of the Jedi. And then comic books and EU stuff. Very, very simple. If Star Wars was wise, it would focus on that era and fleshing it out a little bit more before it worries about what they have to pay George Lucas, so let's go ahead and shove everything under the fucking carpet. Hell, Broom Boy will pick up that carpet and just force broom it underneath it and throw it away, and then you can give it to Pigpen to further obscure. So, there you have it. My thoughts on Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. My name's Immortal Coil. Like, share, subscribe, drop me a comment. Let me know what you want to see covered on future editions of Savage Spirituality. Check out my bros in the Phantom Collective. We are a group of channels dedicated to helping you get likes, you get subs, you get traction, and you build your channel, and together we will turn around the shit show that passes as entertainment in 2019. And remember, only through me can you obtain a power greater than any Jedi.
This is very, very bad. Oh, this is cool.